to do so, remember that MF3 is me, family, future, and fun. And you can look down below to catch my Facebook post about that. As well, I did a training on that in the boot camp yesterday, and we'll be diving into that more today on a webinar you are invited to join us at 1 p.m. Eastern. That's 9 a.m. if you're here in Alaska. And the title of that is How to Have a Success Mindset in the Midst of Chaos. So Andrea and I were just talking about, like, these are just really different times. These are really uncertain, weird times right now. Hey, Karen, welcome. And so I'm doing all that I can to help my chiropractic colleagues navigate these troubled waters. And I just want to let all of you know I'm here for you. And that's why I asked Andrea to join me today. Is Andrea and I have known each other for 10 years. Started coaching together 10 years ago. A funny story about actually her boobs is what kind of got
I was wondering if you were going to go there. They weren't actually mine.
And we'll maybe tackle that story a different day. But the reason that her story is so powerful is because I think it's really easy to get stuck. And right now, in these times of uncertainty, I'm hearing from a lot of doctors of I'm stuck. And the reason that we're stuck is that we just keep repeating old patterns. And we're getting triggered in ways we've never been triggered before. And Andrea's done a really awesome job taking a deep dive and looking at herself and looking at her practice, and now creating a life that she loves. So Andrea, let's go right back to the start of what happened that started making you feel uncomfortable, or just like, this isn't really for me, in your practice model.
Well, in order to do that, we actually have to go back to 2008. Okay.
Yeah.
Because up until 2008, I had a direct pay only practice. I mean, I don't say cash because people were paying me with credit cards and checks, but I didn't process insurance at all. It was direct pay only. And then in 2008, the economy tanked. It was like, okay, like I'm going to have to change how I do things. But I got that message a little bit too late. And so I did alter and I changed my practice. I started taking insurance again. And I did that up until 2013. And in 2012, I became a single mom. And so it was more important at that point to have a stable income stream, right? Because like I've got 2 little girls I'm taking care of. I didn't have any support and I was making it or breaking it on my own. But then in 2013, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which was half of my income stream, basically changed how they handled the claims. And without notifying me, my insurance payments just went away. And I was not prepared for it. Nobody had warned me that it was going to happen. My assistant called them and said, what's going on? They said, oh, we don't have your MPI. Like every time she called, she got a different excuse, baby, basically. And in 2013, I drew a line in the sand and said, never again is my income going to dependent on a third party. Okay. So then I closed that practice when I moved. I took a couple of years off. I opened this practice in 2017. It's been going well. It's been growing. You and I started working together one-on-one in November of last year. And the practice basically, 3x'd or 4x'd in that couple of months. And then COVID hit. And so once again, I'm in the situation of like things were better, right?
Yeah.
But my income was still dependent on one thing. And I was like, okay, like this is a time for me to really take stock and say, what do I want my life to look like at the end of coronavirus 2019, 2020? And so that's the long story. It's been a decade coming, make no mistake, but it's really given me the opportunity to take a deep dive and say, what do I want my life to look like in August? And the reason I say August is because my lease is up in this particular office in July. And so I knew there were going to be some changes anyway. But it's like, okay, well, if I have to make big changes anyway, what do I want it to look like? So that's kind of how we got here.
Nice. Yeah. And it's the journey from November and 3Xing. It wasn't just like a straight trajectory up. Like there's still obstacles that present themselves. There's
Oh,
still challenges.
yeah, of
And
course.
now how do you look at challenges now compared to when you used to? And I just want to like also give you public applause for Andrea flew from California to South Carolina for the Peds boot camp, and we got to have tons of fun and learn together, and then we got to have dinner together before I took her to the airport on Sunday night, and we were both just kind of looking back at our lives over these last 10 years. We've both gone through divorce. We both have gotten, well, not in 10 years, but before then, have gotten, have been remarried. Our lives are way different. And, and one of the things we talked about was there was a moment when you became a single mom and you had $40 to your name.
Yeah.
40, like $40 to your name.
Yeah.
And
For the week. That was during that 2013, like that period of time. And I was like, how the hell am I going to feed my kids? It was scary.
did you guys hear that? Like her questions to herself at that time weren't, how am I going to 3X my practice? They were literally, how am I going to feed my daughters? How am I going to do that? And she, clawed her way out and continued to take action and continued to be connected and has just, it hasn't just been like on a silver platter by any stretch of the imagination. And she, and Andrea,
Sorry. I don't even know what is a silver play. They talk about like the self-made person. Like that is me, man. My dad used to say, we're going to spend your inheritance. Like, don't expect anything from us when we die. And he made sure that was, anyway, sorry. That just tickled me.
yeah. So the reason I want to share that is I want you to see that no matter where you're starting from today, your future can look completely different. Your future won't look different if this doesn't change. And because of this, your actions change.
Yeah.
So maybe you only have $40 to your name right now. Your future in a few months can look completely different. It is 100% dependent on the action you decide to take today. So let's talk about that action. What are you doing differently now that you've pivoted, that you weren't doing before? And what is the mindset that has changed?
Well, the first thing I had to do is I had to sit down and I had to write down, like, what do I want my life to actually look like? From the moment I get up in the morning until the moment I go to bed, what does my life look like? Now, my kids are teenagers now. They're a little bit older. So the things that I want to do now are different than they were when they were little, because when they were little, I had like just a different set of circumstances. Anyway, I think every parent knows that. And so I really sat down and looked at, like, what do I want my life to look like? When I was younger, it was really important to me to get up at 5:30 in the morning and work out, right? Well, now it's actually really important to me to get sleep because I'm healing from stage 3 adrenal fatigue. So sleep is like a really important part of my physical body getting better. So I'm not interested in getting up at 5:30 and working out. Now, I might wake up at 5:30 and get up and work, but I'm no longer interested in working out. That's not true. I'm just no longer interested in working out at that hour. So I had to really figure out, like, what do I want my day to look like from the moment I get up until the moment I go to bed? And what I realized was driving the kids to school and then hopping in the shower to be at the office by 10, not so much it. Like, I want a little bit more flexibility in my morning because my mental capacities are so much better in the morning. It's better for me to do strategic kind of work or writing or teaching. Like, that kind of stuff is better for me in the morning. I'd rather see patients later on in the day. So it's like, okay, well, if I want my mornings free, then that means I need to have an office with not so much overhead, because I don't want to be paying all that overhead to only be seeing patients a few afternoons a week. Do you know what I mean? And I also don't want to give up seeing patients entirely, but I don't want to have a full-time practice with full-time overhead. I want to have income streams that are more online and or passive. And by passive, I mean, I do the work once, but then I continue to get paid forever. So I'm in the process of creating an online course. I have a company that I work with that allows me to create passive income. Like, these are the kinds of things I want to start doing more of, because then when I look at my monthly schedule, what does that look like? I have some traveling I want to do. There's a couple of things I want to do in Florida that require me to be able to have income from anywhere. And I've got some humanitarian campaigns that I want to donate to. And so those require a bigger income stream. And I can get a bigger income stream. Well, not necessarily a bigger, I can get a different kind of income stream in the online world than I can in the offline world. And so when I look at all of those pieces together, it became very clear to me that I need to have a part-time physical practice and part-time online businesses so that I can accomplish those goals and do the other things that are important to me. Because practice is only one part of life. It's not everything, but practice when you're in the thick of it really does take over everything. And that's totally fine. But I've been doing it a long time now. Like it's time for me to start exploring other areas of life.
And how does that feel to know that you can create the life that absolutely feeds and fuels you?
Well, I mean, it feels great. It's also scary. It's like, well, I don't know how to do it. But just like everything, I didn't know how I was going to feed my kids on $40 a week, but somehow I figured it out. So I don't know how to do it, but I'm confident I can. And I'm confident I can pull in the right tools and mentors to figure it out. And I think that's where people get stuck. People get stuck. They're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then they stop looking for solutions because they're so focused on the fact that they're stuck. You can't be focused on the fact that you're stuck. You have to be focused on finding the tools.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of I use the analogy of being stuck because we do obviously lots of four-wheeling here in Alaska. And when you're stuck in the mud, if you just keep pouring the coals to it, it's just going to like throw mud everywhere. Instead, you have to look for a tool. You have to look for a mechanical advantage of how am I going to get out? That could mean like you got to find some gravel. It typically means you got to have a winch, and that winch either is going to be to a tree or another machine. There has to be something that you're connecting with in order to get unstuck, right?
100%. Yeah.
And
And you're the one who always says there are two streets named hard, right? Like the first street named hard is you don't change anything and it's hard. And the second street named hard is you change something and it's still hard because now you're doing stuff you don't know. But either way is going to be difficult. Like you cannot achieve your goals without barriers. It's a part of the game, right? Like you have to have a barrier in order to accomplish that goal. And once you accomplish that goal and get over the barrier, like that's when you're like, whoo, I did it. You
yes.
know? Yeah.
And then you look for those challenges. Like, all right, there's an even bigger goal there. I know it's got some obstacles. Let me see how I can get over it. And when you have a tribe around you and you have access to tools, maybe you're stuck temporarily, but you just reach out, like you call a lifeline.
Yeah.
You call
Totally.
somebody, you in obviously in the boot camp, you do a training, you tap in and ask a question of a mentor in the boot camp. Obviously, we get on the call. What um what aspect of being able to reach out and grab a tool or grab a mentor or jump on the phone with me has made the biggest impact in your life to make it that the two streets named hard now you're choosing the hard of change because it's going to lead to a better result versus choosing the hard of I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I know it's going to get harder and I'm stuck, but at least wise this is comfortable.
Are you asking about which tool did I reach for
Yeah, like
or?
what is your favorite benefit as a result?
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
Um, I think my favorite benefit is knowing that no matter what it is that I need to solve, there is a tool either within the boot camp or within the tribe to solve it. So, when I was struggling with asking referrals, there's an entire section in the boot camp on referrals. I could go in and listen to those audios while I was getting ready or when I dropped the kids off for school or whatever. A couple of weeks ago when I was having a full-on meltdown over the whole financial situation, I posted in there and it felt like a safe place to say it. Like I posted in there, I'm having a meltdown. I feel totally out of integrity. And just a ton of love came back my way. And by the next morning, I was like back on track and ready to go again. I had just this short little period of, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. and I feel like I'm out of integrity. But all of that love and all of that support and all of the ideas that I was given allowed me to get over that hump and then moving forward again. Right.
And did you feel that, one thing I love about our tribe is that we can have a low, get the support, get the help, pop back out, and then not beat ourselves up that we had the low.
Right.
Right? Like instead, like, okay, that was a blip on the boot camp mama's call. Yes, today's Thursday, right? Yesterday.
I know, right? Like, what day is it?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a meltdown, and everyone was just like, "We got you. It's all right." Like I had a meltdown of guilt that I have when I was raising my kids and just sharing with everybody how when they're in your 20s, the landscape looks way different, and to know that like we're all doing this thing together. And there are going to be times that we trip and fall. There are going to be times that you've scabbed your hands and scabbed your knees and maybe even busted your nose. But the important thing, hey Andrea, good to see you, girl. The important thing is that you have others to come alongside you, pick you back up, and help carry you to the next stage. And we don't have to look back except to learn.
Right.
And I know you've been instrumental when other people have fallen to help get underneath one of their arms and help them rise up as well. And, that's another huge thing I think is important in our tribe. It's not just like get in, grab what you can, and get out, to recognize like you're essential. You're essential. Like you fell and we were all there for you. Others fall or I fall and I lean on you. And so we're all really, really important, and we're all going through highs and lows at all different times. So when you came out, like what was instrumental then, Andrea, from going from the fall of, oh my gosh, the freak out, in order to the next day have a different attitude, a different mindset, a different gas in your tank?
Just the chance to process, like just a chance to process all the different um, ideas that people had given me and different viewpoints. I think we get stuck with our own viewpoint. We look at the world our way. We assume everyone looks at the world the same way because that's how we look at it. But seeing all of the different viewpoints around the problem that I had posted about, let me say, okay, you know, maybe I need to go down this road, but then maybe there's also another way to solve it. And so then Steve, my husband, and I started talking about, okay, well, what are some other ways that we could solve it? We came up with 3 or 4 different ideas, like in terms of finances, that we could use to help us kind of weather the storm as a family and as a practice. And, like one of my big things is I don't want to be a part of the bigger problem, right? Like you've got all of these people who are filing for unemployment and taking loans from the government. And those tools are there for us to use. But for me personally, I was like, well, if I do those tools, then I'm being a part of the bigger problem, because the trickle down effect of what's going on right now is actually what scares me. It's not the shutdown of everything now. I'm looking ahead 6 months, 8 months to a year and saying that's the trickle down effect that really makes me nervous. And so I'm trying to be as little of an impact on that as I can be. So just recognizing that it was okay to maybe use some tools now, but recognizing I needed to outcreate the problem so that I didn't have to continue to rely on that as we go forward. So that was really when I woke up the next morning. It was like, okay, it's okay to use these tools right now if I have to, but I'm going to use those tools to help me create an income stream that is irrelevant of my physical practice. There are still people online who have money that have problems that I can solve. And I am really good at solving a couple of those problems. I've got a couple of courses coming to help them, and I expect them to pay me well for it. You know what I mean? So just, okay, I can take a little bit of help now, but then I'm going to move forward. I'm going to outcreate the problem, and I'm not going to be a part of the bigger solution. That was what I woke up the next day with.
You are going to be part of the bigger solution, not the big.
Yes, not the bigger problem.
Yeah.
What did I say? Yeah, I'm not going to be a part of the bigger problem. I'm going to outcreate it and create my own solution. So those resources can be available for people who are not quite where I am, because it is a journey. 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I never would have thought this way.
Yes. And
right.
In the action, like I've seen you step into instead of, oh my gosh, I don't know, I'm just going to give up, to
Right.
instead step into, I don't know, but I know people who know, and I can ask for their help so that I don't have to be stuck. And I can create this practice of my dreams. I
Right.
can create solutions for individuals that right now I don't have, that I
Right.
know for myself. And I love that you just immediately are like, all right, I know how to do this. So I'm going to create a Facebook group around intermittent fasting. I know how to do this. I can create a one-page document and make it a two-page, a three-page, a four-page in order to provide steps for people. I like look at what you know how to do and then what you don't. Like, bam, so you're no longer stuck in the, oh, because I don't know, I guess I'm done. And
Exactly.
that's a lot of times what make us stuck. And yet every single one of us as moms or dads, if our kids were like, well, I don't know how to do that math problem, I guess I'm just gonna fail.
Well, think about what it's like to become a parent. There's no manual. Like you have kids and they let you, my ex-husband and I used to joke about this. We're like, don't we have to take a test before we take her home from the hospital? Like I had to take a test to learn how to drive. I had to take a test to become a chiropractor. I don't have to take a test to become a parent. Like no parent knows what they're doing. It's
No.
crazy, but somehow you figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, businesses are just like kids. Like there's not really, well, there's tons of manuals. Another mentor of mine talks about the concept of discernment. You do have to be careful who you listen to because not everybody has the right advice for you at that moment. But there are tons of manuals on business, but truly you have to be able to figure out which ones to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to know that people will tell you what they tell themselves,
Yeah.
right? So, and that's why it is so important when looking for a mentorship or looking for a tribe is those individuals are going to share with you what they're sharing with themselves. And like, one of the things I love about our tribe too is I truly believe it's not a tribe of let's put the right answer to get, like to make sure it aligns with Barb. Because even on your post, when you posted about like when you were down, there were a myriad of answers. There were a myriad of solutions. There's not one answer because we're all different. We've all had different experiences. We've all had, like we all have a different future. We all have had um, different training. And so, like, an answer that I would give maybe isn't an answer for you, but Andrea's answers or Karen's answers align with who you are, align with where you were at that moment. And I love that. I love that our community is really a bunch of misfits that have come together, a bunch of underdogs who have come together to say, I'm still grinding, I got grit, and I know I can wrestle this life around to make it my own.
The island of misfit Kairos.
Misfit Kairos. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's really true of, um, on the outside, we may feel like we're on the fringe, but on the inside, it just feels like there's so much warmth and comfort on the inside of the tribe. Um,
Yeah. I
Obviously,
want
I'm biased. It's my tribe, but I don't honestly feel that way. I feel like it's our tribe.
Yeah, it is. I want to share something with you I learned in the last couple months. I through my church, I was doing this program, and one of the things I had to do was I was working through some answers on some stuff, and I realized that in every cycle, there's the beginning, the middle, and the end, right? Like no matter what it is. And I always get super excited about the beginning. Like I love the beginning. And you've taught me like success is boring. It's just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. But what I realized as I was going through this program was that I really love the beginning and I really love the end result, but I don't care so much about the stuff in the middle. And I had the huge aha that it's the stuff in the middle that is the important stuff, because you can have the beginning, which is the exciting, like I'm creating it, blah, blah, blah. And you can, put your viewpoint out to the end and be able to see the end result. But it's all that stuff in the middle that gets you there. And that's really where, if you look across my career, you can see where I've struggled with that. So having that realization helped me recognize just how important each of those steps is. And the same people who help you in the beginning may not be the same people who help you in the middle, right?
Mm.
Like, you might need a different set of tools, or you might need a different viewpoint, or you might need a different opinion, or you might need to learn from a different mentor to get you through each of those stages so you can get to the end. But each of those steps is important. And I think with people who are looking at their practices, and this is where I wanted to go with it. When you look at my practice, I had created a vision of what I wanted my practice to be back a long time ago. Like, I was in a different marriage. My kids were little. I lived in a different city. And I've been hanging on to that vision of my practice all the way through, but I'm actually a totally different person now. And so now that practice does not meet all the rest of my life goals. Because if I want to go to Florida and work for a month, I can't have patients here who are, I need to have some flexibility with my patients and be able to bring a doctor in to cover for me when I'm gone, for sure. But I need to have a little bit more flexibility with my patients and my income so I can go do that. And it was a huge aha for me, recognizing that all of the steps, and if it weren't for the coronavirus, I would not have figured this out, because I was plugging away to keep building that practice that I had created in my head back in 2010, you know? Um, and if it weren't for coronavirus, I wouldn't have figured out, wait, if you look across all the rest of my life, like, practice is one part of it, but there's my family, there's humanitarian stuff that I want to do, there's spiritual growth, there's financial growth, there's my kids are going to college. Like, my daughter wants to go to college in Ireland. If I've got a practice where I'm, full time, I can't work from Ireland. What if I want to? So it was a very interesting, if it weren't for coronavirus, I would not have been able to put all of those pieces together to say, okay, how do I create the life that serves me? I still want to see patients, but I also want this. How do I do it?
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that, with coronavirus, that you see, like, hey, this was the catalyst to help me figure things out. Like, I hope all of us can look at this chaotic time as there is silver lining.
Yeah. And there's a ton of opportunity, but you have to be looking for it. Like, in every crisis, there is an opportunity, but you have to have your eyes open and you have to say, it is okay to have an opportunity in a crisis. It doesn't make you a bad person. I've had I've had two different times since coronavirus hit where I wallowed and had a pity party. The first one lasted 2 days, and the second one was that Friday in the boot camp tribe, and it lasted 4 hours. But those are the only two times that I've had a pity party. The rest of the time, it's been like, I need to get to work and I need to figure out what to do at the end of this.
Yes, I love that. And,
Yeah.
and that's really, there are three things that are so important. I shared this yesterday. We got to stabilize our businesses, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and and then we also have to be ready for what's ahead of us, like what's
Yeah.
coming. And the right thing to do is to find out how you can be a solution,
Yeah.
which is looking at this time as there are amazing opportunities. Like, I think now more than ever, we're going to see such an influx of people into chiropractic offices, right? Like, even right now, they can't go to urgent care. Somebody just messaged me today and said that their hospital is laying off nurses because in the hospital they're not able to see anything other than emergencies, and there are tons of nurses that are on staff and tons of people that are on staff for non-emergencies, so they're laying off actually nurses. And even how a lot of medical centers aren't for emergencies. They're for
Right.
diagnostics, they're for testing, they're for all of this stuff. And so there are tons of people in every community that are looking for healthcare that only we can provide, that are looking
Absolutely.
for a solution that doesn't come in a shot or a pill bottle. They're looking for a solution of being strong inside. And we're the ones to do that. So,
Yeah.
chiropractor, like, stand firm, stand strong, be consistent in your messaging, be up on your toes. And like Andrea said, like, there's a silver lining. I mean, look how much time we're all getting to spend with our families. Can it be chaotic because now everyone's under one roof? Yeah, for sure. but we're getting what all we've all said. Like, wish I had more time with my kids. You got it. Um,
Yeah, don't be upset. You asked for it.
yeah. Is it going
Yeah,
to be easy? No, because many parents found themselves as homeschoolers overnight.
yeah. I mean,
Many,
there are two roads named hard for sure.
yeah.
Roads
Many
named hard, yeah.
individuals. We Ben and I were taking a walk around the neighborhood last night, and we ran into social distancing. One of our neighbors who is a teacher and retiring this year, and she was just saying how, for a lot of families, both parents are working from home, so they're all trying to share the same computer that before wasn't a big deal, and then the kids have to get on Zoom calls in order to do school, and there's a lot of chaos. So I
Yeah,
also just want to encourage all of you, like, stop, breathe, simplify,
yeah.
and do what you can, which isn't everything. Do what you can. And that's exactly what Andrea is looking at, is what can I do? If I don't know how, I have people that I can ask in order to know how, so I don't have to stay stuck in this chaos. So Andrea, as we wrap this up, what final words do you want to give to our audience?
I just want to say, this is a perfect opportunity for you to look at what do you want your life to really look like. And if the life you had before coronavirus is what you wanted, awesome. Keep doing what you're doing in order to make sure that when this is over, you get that back. But if you look at your life before coronavirus and you recognize, not so fulfilled, there are personal goals that I have that I'm not able to have, there are, maybe humanitarian projects you want to do that you can't do. If you look at your life after coronavirus and you realize that the life you had before is not going to serve those goals, this is the perfect opportunity to sit down and just figure out, what does the ideal scene look like for you? And what I did is I literally took a piece of paper, and on one side I had, what do I want my day to look like? And then what don't I want in my day? So what do I want in my day and what don't I want in my day? And then below that, I had, what do I want with my finances and what don't I want with my finances? And when I got those columns done on the, there's four quadrants, right? What my day looks like, yes. What my day looks like, no. What my finances looks like, yes. What my finances looks like, no. When I got all that done, it was crystal clear that the practice I have now does not serve that. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to practice, right? But my practice needs to change in order for me to get all those other pieces. And so I would say, just take a piece of paper and write it down. And if what you had before is what you want, perfect. Keep doing what you're doing. Set up your life now so that when this is over, you have that more, like you've got more of that. And if it wasn't, this is a perfect time. It's like that friends episode. Like, this is the perfect time to pivot and figure out what you want to do.
Nice. I love that. And for those of you who want to kind of keep this conversation going, you can join me for a live webinar here in 18 minutes. You're going to hear another really powerful transformational story from Dr. Michelle Schwinn, who was on her way to a major pivot in her life because it had gotten pretty bad. And then made some changes, and you can follow in her footsteps, just like Andrea. um, I think the important thing for all of this is to remember you're not alone unless you choose to be. Um,
Yep.
that together is how we'll get through this. United is how we'll get through this. And no person has ever done it alone. Or done it alone. It's like we really and truly are in this game called life, and we're in it to win it together. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Andrea for all that you have contributed to my life, contributed to the boot camp. I love and appreciate you, and I'm so proud of you for being a gutsy girl and
Aw.
getting exactly what you want.
Well, I love you too. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Hey, everyone, have a great day, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Bye.